Hey everyone, this is Peter Borchers from BNSF Chicago Sub and N-Scale, and I've got another update for you. As promised, I have done a video on how I've done the murals for the Western Avenue Yard retaining wall, I think the 16th Street Murals. And I've just got this quick video now to show you how I've done that with photographs sent to me by someone in Chicago, in conjunction with Google Street View as well. How I've used both of them. I've used Photoshop to merge the two together, to clean the images up, and create a print-ready file ready to print onto decal sheets. So I'll show you how I've done that in Photoshop, show you the original photographs, and then the process to get them ready for printing. So let's get started on that tutorial. I'm just opening up a blank document in Photoshop. I've just made it a very, very large file, and I just want to basically just make sure I can fit everything into one screen. When I finish it all, I'll scale it down to the correct size. But for now, I'm just using the full resolution because I want to be able to just have as much resolution as possible for editing. Luckily, my computer is pretty high spec, so I can manage a huge file like this. So the way I started off is I just bring in the original files for this. So if I go to let me just load up the files. I should have had them open. I did have them. I closed them again. Right. So if I just go down and just bring in, for example, let's see. I bring in one of these. So this is a file from that the guy did a photograph for me. So if I just zoom in, and you can see there, that's the photograph, and there's a lot to clean up on this. So what I usually do with this, I just rescale it, and I just make sure that I can just get it to a certain size, sort of just adjust the size and the scale of it just to fit it into this particular space. And I'll just do that for each photograph. In Photoshop, you can do layers. You'll see here it's got a layer on the right-hand side. And as I bring in the photographs, I just add one to each. Each one has its own layer. And then I can just move it around and change the order of them to make sure I've got it in the right order, like the prototype. And some of them I need to scale to a certain size. So these are all the photographs. So they were easy enough to bring in. But what I've done with the screenshots, so the ones where I've had to use screenshots from Google Street View, for example, this one here, you can see it's got a vehicle in it and a lamppost. When I paste that into this empty document, you can see the size of it. It is tiny compared to the size of these. So what I've had to do is I just scale these up to fit in with the scale of the photographs. It doesn't lose that much resolution. Luckily, there's still, because it's going to be printed so small anyway, it doesn't really matter. So I just carry on doing that with the photographs I've got and then continuing with the screenshots. And once I've got them all in, if I go to the next document, you can see here, this is what it looks like if I zoom into it. So there I've got a photograph that was taken. This is another photograph. And you can see where they join in here. This is a screenshot. You can see the trees in here. And you can see the color's slightly different as well. And the color and the textures are slightly different. Again, these are screenshots. You can see that again is a Google Street View, that one as well. So what I do is I put them all in, make sure they're in the right order. And that's when I go around and start doing the editing. I'm not going to go into full detail of that because, showing you how to do that in Photoshop can take hours. I mean, it's just such a laborious job. I mean, it's a lot easier now that they've got the automated process for some of it, so the AI parts of it. But it does take a long time to get it done. So I'm just going to show you quickly. Let me see if I can find the right file. Okay, so it's that one there. So I'll show you this one first. So just give you a brief example of what Photoshop can do, and how it makes it quite easy to do these edits. So for example, at the top, let me see where's a good one to do. Okay, this one here. So you can see here I've got, it's obviously different sizes and different textures and everything there. So I want to fill this in with the this pattern. And what I do, I just generally just do a selection. So I'm selecting what I want to fill. I can right click on it and I can say generative fill. And what it'll do is it'll look at what I've got and it'll work out how to replace what is there with a new image based on what was there before. And you can see here, if I just take it off, that is what it is. There's a big gap over there. And what this has done, it's looked at that and said, okay, well, that's probably going to look like that. And it's continued with those lines there. And you see the difference. It's amazing what it can do. It's put in a few leaves. It's put in, continued with that shape. And I can then use that feature to carry on filling in these gaps. And then I make sure I've got a full image, top and bottom, even with this as well. This one here, if I zoom into that, zoom right in here. And I'm going to select this open bit over here. I can go right click. And this one, I'm just going to use the content aware fill, which is the old version of the way it worked. And what it's doing, this green bit here, it's sampling this and it's going to fill in over there. It gives me a preview on this side. If I just go OK, you can see here, it is now filled it in using the texture from here, and it's just continued on and filled it in for me. I mean, before you had to do that all manually with the clone stamp, and it took ages to do. Now it's just so quick to do that, but it still takes a long time. Because you'll see there's still bits you need to clean up. Like I can see if I zoom in, there's a bit here I need to fix. But it doesn't really matter that much with this because it's going to be printed so small anyway. It's not going to bother me if I see that. It's more for stuff like this here where they're completely different colors. Even when it's going to be small, you'll still see the difference of color. So what I do here is I do a similar kind of thing. I will just select an area. So let's see if I do, let me just see what it'll do if I delete this. If I delete that section there and I say content aware fill, let's see what it's going to do. It sometimes doesn't do it as accurately as you want, depending what it's going to do. Okay, now it's doing the wrong bit. I need to actually use a different method for that. So let's see if I use the generative fill. Let's see what that's going to do. And normally 3 different methods I use for this. So let's see what this one's going to do. Yeah, again, that one's not going to do what I want it to do. So what I'll do is something like this is I will then get rid of that. I will then use the clone stamp option here. And let's go, sorry, clone stamp is that one over there. And what I'll do is I'll sample this section and then I can carry on filling in over here. And you can see it does it quite well. It'll fill in with whatever texture I've chosen. I can just replace that and then eventually I can get all of this done, and it will, when you zoom out, it'll eventually look the same as that. So if I show you what I've done with the edit, so this file is where I've edited it. And if I go in here, I haven't done all of this yet in this particular file, but you can see the way it works. I've managed to get all of this done. I've managed to fill this all in, and it just makes it so that when you see the entire image, it's all merged together. In fact, at the bottom here, I can show you how it's done. So you can see here where you've got the 2 files together, it's ended up looking like this. So it's just taking textures from there and replacing these textures, and you can merge all these files together. so that it looks like it's all part of the one image. So here I've used a bit of cloning and the AI feature just to repeat this, or put these pattern repeats in here, and to merge between the photograph, or between these photographs where there was a bit of a gap before. I've done the same with these looks like pots as well. I've added bits at the bottom. This ladder was missing from the original photograph, so I've used ladder from this Google Street View, and I've merged it into this photograph. And it just means that when you look at it, it looks like the original photograph. I mean, the proper mural that's on the wall. Even though there are bits missing from the photographs, I've managed to merge them all together. You'll see here as well, these are two photographs I've merged together into one, using a bit of the generative AI and the clone stamp. I've merged it all. So where these bits are missing, I've filled them all in and made it look like one complete image. I've done the same over here. I've taken this section here from Google Street View and I've merged it into this photograph. I don't need to do it much more than this, because when it's printed out, you won't notice the difference. But I can just make sure I've made all the seams look like they're fit together. So once it's edited, everything looks like it's all meant to be together. You can see here another nice seamless bit over here. And I just continue doing that until I have got the image that I'm happy with. As you can see, this is the full. If I put it to 100%, you'll see the size of it. It's big. I mean, that is the full size. And obviously, to print it out, it will print out massive. So I've got to print it out to the scale that is going to be used. So I measured the height of the wall, and I've scaled that image down to the size that it actually is. So this is at 100%. So, and if I zoom in, you can see it's still good enough quality when I zoom in. But at 100%, this is what it'll print out like. And this prints out at, I think it's about 4 centimeters, or I can't remember what that is in inches. What's that, inch and a half, something like that? I can't remember what the, let me just quickly work it out. The 4 centimeters high is 4 centimeters to inches is, it's about 1.5 inches high. So this image will print out at 1.5 inches high, 1.5 inches high. And what I've then done is, because that is larger than the piece of paper, I've then cut that up into bits. And this is, in the UK, it's A4 size, and in the US, it's I can't remember what you guys call your standard printers print page size, but this is the size that we use in the UK, and I've cut the image so that it'll print on that piece of paper. And remember that I'm printing onto a full decal sheet, which is the size. So what I'll do is I'm going to actually, I printed out a sample piece for now, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cut this into pieces. So I'm actually going to print it out with slight gaps between them, because to have a decal that size is going to be too tricky to put onto the wall. So I'm going to cut it up into manageable sizes. So I'm going to just cut this image and just put a few gaps between them. So just to show you what I mean is, I'll take this image here, I will cut it, and then I will just move it so there's a slight gap. So when I print it out, I can see where each separate decal is. I can cut it out, and that'll be a more manageable piece to be able to apply onto the wall, rather than trying to put this one whole long piece on there. So I'll probably cut that up into 3 pieces, same with this one at the bottom, and then print it out on the decal paper, and then I will put it onto the wall in sections. And then when I put it in, I'll put them against each other to merge them together using the microset and microsol. We'll see how it turns out like. Luckily at the office, I've got access to a very high quality color laser printer. And of course, as I've said before, it's better to print onto laser because it uses a waxy ink, well, not ink, but wax to print onto the paper, so it's not affected by water. If you print this using inkjet, as soon as you apply water to it to apply the decal, the printer ink will start running. So that's not ideal. So it's always better to use a laser printer if you can, your color laser printer if you've got access to one. And then make sure the ink doesn't run when you apply water to it to apply the decal to the wall. So that's what I'll be doing next. I'm going to show you the final piece. I might do a video on applying the decal to the wall. So for now, I'll just show you what it looked like, just using printed out on standard paper, and I just cut out and just to see what it looked like on the wall itself. And then once I'm happy with that, that's why I ended up having to cut this down, because I'd actually had too many images. So I cut it down, and this is the last bit of graffiti you will see, or last bit of mural you will see on the wall. And I was able to just make sure I had the scale right, to make sure I had the size right. And now I'm ready to print it onto the decal paper. So I'll do a video showing how I apply the decals to the wall. And then once I've got the complete wall in place, I'll show you an image of what that looks like. This is the smallest section of wall, so I've done a lot of work to get this done. So the next section is much larger, so it's going to be a lot more work. But at least this is one way to test the concept, to make sure it works properly, and then I can get started on the next section of wall. But for now, let's get this bit done, and I'll be back soon to show you the final result. Since recording this, I found some decal paper I'd bought in the States. It's made specifically for inkjet printers, so it's safe to use this with water. It's got a special coating on it, and I'm going to give this a try and see what it does. So I hope that made sense to some of you. I know Photoshop is quite a complex program. It's quite a steep learning curve as well, but if you know what you're doing, it's quite easy to merge photographs and clean them up and add missing bits and everything, especially with the new AI features of Photoshop. But what I just wanted to do was just show you what I started with and what I ended up with, and just a little bit of the process in between. My next video coming up very shortly, I've shot it already, and it's I just need to do the final touches to it, is how I apply those decals to the walls. I'm very happy with the way they've come out, so I'll show you the process of doing that and what they look like when I've finished. So that will be coming up very shortly after this video, so keep an eye out for that. So make sure you click that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when that video comes out. In the meantime, it's quite hot here in the UK at the moment, so I'm off to get a tan, and I'll see you guys soon. So happy modeling, and see you soon.